Skin the Hard Way, SouthernTea, back with another EP. And today I'm here to give you my post-fight reaction to Tank Davis versus Isaac Cruz. And the first thing I want to start this video with is by saying, dog, shout out to Tank Davis, shout out to Isaac Cruz, because y'all boys put on a hell of a performance last night. Dog, I thoroughly enjoyed that fight. I seen Tank get pressed. I seen Tank get pushed. You know what I mean? I seen the guy at Isaac Cruz, who made Tank Davis, go into his bag. I seen the guy in Isak or Isaac, however you say it. I seen the guy named Isaac Cruz make a guy Tank Davis, not get a knockout. Tank Davis only hasn't knocked out one person in his boxing career. He's 20. He's 27 years old. I think he was like what 28 and 0. You know what I mean? He only had one guy before this fight. It was only one fight where Tank Davis didn't get a knockout. Isak Cruz went in here and he discombobulated. He confused Tank a little bit, and he stopped Tank from getting a knockout. It took Tank, a couple rounds to kind of get the feel for Isak, and even then, he never really got a complete feel for Isak, but he was still able to find a way to win. You know what I mean? I was thoroughly impressed with Isak Cruz, and I was one of the people telling people that Isak Cruz was already ranked. That Isak Cruz was already ranked in all of these divisions. He's top 10 in these divisions already. You know what I mean? So a lot of people was thinking this guy a pushover, this guy a tomato can, this guy a cakewalk, this guy that. And now they gonna come back there and say, "Oh, Tank did knock out a tomato can," but SouthernTea was already telling you, you think this guy a tomato can. This guy is not a tomato can. And if you're really going by the numbers and by the books and by the stats, this guy's top 10 in each major division. You know what I mean? He's probably going to go up in these divisions after last night. What last night showed us was is that we got another player in the 135-pound division. His name is Isak Cruz. Isak Cruz has bounced back from his one loss and his one draw earlier in his career. You know what I mean? He was about 20 years old. Dude is only what 23 years old. So he's very, very young. He's a very, very young guy. You know what I mean? I think he has a promising future, a very promising future. I think if Isak Cruz can get in there, if Isak Cruz can get in there and he can not get knocked out by Tank Davis, how many more people you think are going to be able to knock him out? Now we could say that night he came in on this game or whatever, but Isak Cruz has educated defense. He has he has good enough defense to where Tank Davis couldn't land his punches clean. Tank Davis is a pretty accurate puncher. Tank Davis is not a guy who throws a whole bunch of punches. When Tank Davis throws punches, he normally lands. They're always trying to hit you, but when Tank throws punches, he's throwing them to land his punches. He's not a guy who wastes his punches. Isak Cruz made it difficult for Tank to land, a whole bunch of clean punches. Now later on in the fight, Tank started to get off. He started to get loose, but that was right before, he broke his hand. Isaac Cruz defense, he was catching punches with his arms, with his gloves, with his wrists, arms and stuff like that. Tank ended up breaking his hand on trying to catch him with one of those patented uppercuts that Tank liked to throw. You know what I mean? Tank ended up, breaking his hand. So Isak Cruz is not just a walk forward brawler, walk you down, stalk you down, walk you down, stalk you down type of fighter. You know what I mean? Isak Cruz has a real complete game. So there are going to be people who come in here and say, "Oh, Tank almost lost to a tomato can." There are some people who saying that Tank lost to Isak Cruz. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is Isak Cruz isn't a tomato can in his ranking. Uh, tell you that. You know what I mean? So I think Isak Cruz did a hell of a job last night. I was highly impressed with Isak Cruz. Got nothing bad to say about Isak Cruz. Type deal. Tank Davis also. I was also highly impressed with Tank Davis last night. I was also highly impressed with Tank Davis last night. Tank Davis showed me some things as well. Isaac Cruz showed me, he's a tough out for anybody. He's possibly Isaac Cruz is not a guy you want to put, a star fighter or your top fighter in there with, because he probably could very well upset them. You know what I mean? But what Tank Davis showed me last night, and what he showed me a little bit in the Mario Barrios fight, but I think he will get more credit for it in this fight, because this fight, the choreography of this fight looked better than the Mario Barrios fight. You know what I mean? Isaac Cruz, landed enough on Tank to where people will be able to give Tank some kind of credit for this win. But Tank Davis showed me last night that he can fight from the outside. He showed me that he can box on the outside. He showed me that he has an extremely high boxing IQ. Tank Davis was throwing shots, ducking in, ducking out. But Isaac Cruz was swinging wildly. Tank Davis was kind of hitting them with the change of angles, hitting them with the Olay. You know what I mean? Tank Davis, showed level changes. Tank Davis has an educated jab, a jab to the head, jab to the body. You know what I mean? Type deal. Tank Davis showed a lot of different dimensions last night that, I knew that he had, but last night he had them on full effect. Last night he had them on full effect in this fight against Isaac Cruz. In this fight, Tank Davis was seen the victor. I think they had Tank Davis. I think it might have been, what was it? Tank Davis like 8-4 or something like that. Officially, Tank Davis was seen the victor. Isaac Cruz lost. But last night there were no losers in that fight at all. I think that was a good night for boxing. There was a great night for Tank Davis. And there was a great night for Isaac Cruz. That was one of those losses for Isaac Cruz where his reputation and his profile went up in their loss. I guarantee you this. We go check out Isaac Cruz next fight. Guarantee you we check out Isaac Cruz next fight. And by we, I mean us as the people. Isaac Cruz lost last night, but he didn't really lose last night. You know what I mean? Tank Davis won last night. And in my eyes, somebody who's not a Gervonta Davis hater, in my eyes, he actually impressed me. He showed me that he can box. Last night, I had Tank Davis versus Shakur, Tank Davis versus Devin Haney closer than I got it right now. Tank Davis showed me that he has very, 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 very technically sound fundamentals last night. You know what I mean? Tank Davis can box. You know what I mean? He can box. Now he broke his hand in that fight. I hope that's not an issue going forward. Tank Davis is a power puncher. You know what I mean? He is a power puncher. So I hope this hand, this ain't the first time that Tank Davis, broke his hand, messed up his hand, or whatever. But this is kind of becoming a reoccurring thing with Tank Davis. Tank Davis, I almost missed was that the Leo Santa Cruz fight? Tank Davis, I almost missed the Leo Santa Cruz fight last October or 2 Octobers ago, with the hand. He broke his hand early in the year, but he ended up still fighting. So this hand thing is kind of becoming an issue with Tank Davis. You know what I mean? So I hope this is something they could kind of get under control. Maybe a glove switch. Maybe the Canelo gloves don't work for you, but I hope they don't become an issue. But I was impressed with both fighters. There were no losers last night. There was no losers last night. You know what I mean? Nobody had nothing to hang their head over. Highly impressed with Cruz. I thought Cruz was gonna get knocked out. Everybody in here, some of us had Cruz get knocked out in the first. Some of us had Cruz get knocked out in the third. I had Cruz getting knocked out in the seventh. One of us had Cruz getting knocked out in the ninth. We had Cruz getting knocked out last night, and Cruz most definitely went out there and he did everything but get knocked out. Cruz put on a very, very good performance against Tank Davis. There were times in that fight where I was like, oh shit, we got a fight on our hands. You know what I mean? But I knew that about Cruz. It was everybody else saying he was tomato can, this, tomato can, that. What I said was the way his style, the way he fought was gonna get him knocked out by walking forward on Tank. But actually, Cruz was able to walk forward on Tank, and Tank couldn't put Cruz out last night. Now you could say the hand issue or whatever. But I think even before the hand issue, Isaac Cruz was making it very difficult for Tank to land effective, clean punches on him. That's why Tank, was catching a lot of elbows and wrists and shoulders and shit with those punches, which is how he broke his hands, broke his hand to begin with. You get what I'm saying? But once he started to open up on Isaac Cruz about the 6, 7, 8 round, he started to open up on him and land clean. But Isaac Cruz made that fight very difficult from round 1 to round 6, and like from round 9 until round 12. Like that was a hell of a fight. He actually might have won the last 2 rounds or so. You know what I mean? Last round. For sure, maybe the last 2 rounds, Isaac Cruz, you know what I mean? So that was a hell of a fight. Y'all don't got nothing bad to say about Neither one of those guys. It's actually the kind of a fight that I expected going in. I expected two people to meet in the middle of the ring. But what happened was Tank, they both made in the middle of the ring, right? But Tank would switch angles, get on the side of them, switch angles, get behind them. You know what I mean? Take a step back, walk him around a little bit, jump in, jump out. You know what I'm saying? He did a lot of different things last night. I saw from Tank is ready. Like I want my girl Destiny to come on here later. We're gonna talk about Tank can box. He does have boxing skills. Tank and Devin Haney's fight look eerily similar to me. You know what I mean? This later on, she coming on later on. Tank and Devin's fight look eerily similar to me. You know what I mean? Like in the sense where they not similar in the sense they both were two different fights. I think Tank fight was more of a boxing match. This crazy, y'all. Check this out. Tank Davis fight was more of a boxing match than Devin Haney's fight. You know what I mean? Not similar in like the way that they fought them, but similar in both those guys were up against game competition. The competition stepped up and they rose to the competition, you know, as well. They didn't falter when shit got hard in that ring with them. When shit got hard in the ring with Tank Davis and Devin Haney this Saturday, neither of them faltered. Neither of them went the other way. They both answered the bell. They didn't look like they didn't look shaken. They didn't look like they didn't want to be there. They looked like real boxers. And I know what you might say, Skinny. I know what you might say, Skinny. Oh, what you mean real boxers? They all real boxers. But no, the way that Devin Haney looked and the way that Ryan Garcia looked when they faced adversity and afterwards, two different looks. The way that Tank Davis looked when he met Isaac Cruz last night, a guy that he couldn't knock out, a guy that wasn't going to back down from him, a guy that was just as tough as he was, just as bad as he is. When he met that guy last night, he had great body language. He didn't look like he was out of the fight. Ryan Garcia got up and he stopped Luke Campbell with a body shot, but his body language hasn't been the same since that day. You know what I mean? He hasn't been he hasn't been the same since that day. These two guys are warriors. When shit get hard, those guys answered the bell. You know what I mean? So shout out to Tank, shout out to Devin Haney, shout out to Isaac Cruz. We got new players in the 135-pound division, and his name is Isaac Cruz. We got a new player in the 135-pound division, and his name is Isaac Cruz. Don't sleep on that man. But that's all I got. Skin the Hardaway SouthernTea. This ain't the past. Hold on, wait. Let me holler at my people that came through here. Shout out my guy Tony Bell. He said great fight. Shout out my guy Corey Chandler. He said salute T. Shout out my guy Cyreek 357. He said salute SouthernTea boxing chat room Southern Aries. Appreciate you sliding through this jump, my brother. Shout out my guy A Street Mike. He said everybody need to know he beat the man with the fucked up hand. He adjusted with his problem, still won in fashion. Fans watch the fight. Skill fans watch the boxing clinic. He beat his ass. Salute T. Shout out my guy A Street Mike sliding through this jump. Shout out my guy John Paul Gasol sliding through this jump. Appreciate you sliding through this jump. A Street Mike said Cruz admitted he knew that Tank hand was broke. Yeah, I mean he probably did. I mean, I didn't. He started fighting like he was broke too. He just stopped throwing that motherfucker. Tank started fighting like he was broke too, because he just stopped throwing that motherfucker. But I'm finna get up out of here, y'all. Skin the Hardaway SouthernTea. This ain't the past. This ain't the future. But this the present. That's how we rocking. And I'm out. Look.